have so many French cars.
Hello and welcome to Motorcult episode 27. The voice you just heard is our guest for this first special episode of Motorcult, which is focusing entirely on the country of France and its car production.
Vive la France. Yay.
The voice you just heard there, of course, is my co-host Ryan Sinitsky. Hello, sir.
Hello there.
Welcome back to this incredibly balmy, humid studio.
I don't even care because I'm excited to talk about French cars.
Yeah, no, you guys have both been just... I don't even know, like, what is it, like a metaphor for like a happy pig or whatever.
Oh, happier than a pig and poop?
Yep.
Oh.
That
Yeah.
one. So you guys you've seemed very happy about this episode. I'm not faulting you at all because we all, in our own certain brand of way, love French cars. So.
Even before I met Jana, prior to, like when we were in high school, when we first started hanging out, I was like into French cars. Like my Gran Turismo 4 game was every single French car.
What a great game.
And that's actually the reason I discovered them. And then I just decided it was unrealistic to be super about French cars. So I got into Japanese cars. Then I met Jana.
Well, yeah, living in
and
this
she
country,
loves them.
you're right.
Yeah, and I showed Jana like one French car. And
as
another,
you
and
are
she, like, fell in love
recalling
with them.
this memory, I look at both of you wearing matching On the Trois Cat Renault 5 shirts
From
Yes.
Blip Shift.
from
yes.
Blip Shift, who is not yet a sponsor,
They can be.
but they could be.
They could be
Anyway.
if they did more French cars.
If they did, yeah. I mean, the only
French
thing I ever
cars,
bought from Blip
cats.
Shift was it was an 8 Series shirt.
Yeah,
and
and
they
you
shipped
opened
it
it
in
up
an
the wrong way.
unmarked package, and I opened my packages with scissors
Oh, yeah,
along
you
the
do.
edge, and this was folded into the crevice. And I cut right through the middle of the 8 Series shirt,
Oh,
and they
no.
didn't. It was a limited run, like all Blip Shift shirts,
Yeah.
and they didn't have any others. Not that they offered me a replacement.
Well, they couldn't. So like,
Right.
what are they
Anyway,
gonna
so
do?
I don't order Blip Shift shirts. I have a bunch, but it's because Piss Jugs bought them for me, which was like one of
Gross.
those. Anyway, let's talk about beer.
Yes. The beer we have is not French.
No, it is not.
It is Czech.
That is very different than France.
It's a Pilsner Urquell. But you know what? Actually,
Not French.
yes, that's true. It is
That-
not French Bell.
Okay, so before you continue on the beer, the chime, which you just heard, is the not actually French chime for this episode.
And you're about to hear the pre-war bell when I say how this ties into France. Because this is
God.
Czech, and we're talking about French cars, and my favorite coach builder, Stauchek, was a Czech immigrant to France. So he built cars
Wow,
prior to
good for
World War
him.
II. There we go. Cool.
Thank you, Jana, for ringing the pre-war
You're
bell.
welcome.
Let me open her up.
Ooh, that sounded very Czechoslovakian.
I'm really happy that they make tall boys now.
Yeah, I mean,
For
tall
the-
boys look a little goofy in koozies, but really, it's effective. It's good.
Yeah, no, it's really effective. I like it. Well, for the longest time, they only made those glasses with the stupid foil on the top.
Oh, like one of those San Pellegrino cans?
Yeah, or like Stella Artois.
Oh. Okay.
That is the best Pilsner.
And I'm going to let Ryan give an impression of that because I am actually behind the scenes finishing an Nordies before I start on the new beer. So.
Yeah, no, it's a Pilsner. I mean, it's going to taste kind of like a Budweiser, but like a really, really, really good Budweiser.
Interesting.
Well, and Pilsners, they're a particular Eastern German and Czechoslovakian style.
So it's incredibly tall, blonde, and has a fabulous body.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And a lot of head.
Oh,
My word.
yikes.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Well, no, when you pour a Pilsner, like, you have to pour it
No,
really
I
slowly.
do understand. I wasn't fully expecting it, but then again, I never fully expect anything on this podcast. So anyway, our first topic. Let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
It's yours.
It is. I do want to talk about what brought this up and what caused this to be the French car episode.
For sure.
I was on, I think it was Haggerty,
Yeah.
and I was reading an article where they were talking about, I think it was Haggerty. Let me look here. Oh, yeah,
I mean-
it was. It was called Cute Utes.
It bears mentioning. I mean, we've been talking about the French car episode. We've had it
Forever,
in the
yeah.
things to cover since we started Motorcult.
Yeah, and this actually was, we didn't know how we wanted to put it together.
Right, and that's why it was just in the notes. It
Yeah.
wasn't actually planned as an episode yet.
But what I was reading was this thing called article called "Cute Utes," and it was about all the cool, tiny,
It,
like
like, it
first gen,
rhymes.
yeah, like all the first gen crossovers and small SUVs that are.
Didn't I sent you that article?
I think you did, yeah. But
It would make sense. Jana likes.
they were
cute
talking about the Suzuki X90 in it.
Oh, we've definitely looked at a lot of those.
Yeah,
on
we've
those
yeah.
nights.
after we had that. I think it's like our 10th or 12th episode where we got
Yeah.
snowed in.
Mhm.
Jana decided that she wanted to get
It's
a
incredible.
tiny crossover or a tiny 4x4. So
We started this podcast in March of 2018, and that snow happened like more than a month after we started
Yes.
the podcast.
like there was no snow. Like that happened like firmly into
I
spring.
know, yeah, it was like mid to late April. We got the 22.
it
inches
was
that
like
trapped us,
420. Yeah, it was around then. But anyway, I noticed that Jana's taste in collector cars
Yeah,
is very closely
in line
correlated
with-
in
yeah.
line with what the market is doing. So if you think about it, cars that have like kind of blown up in the last few years would include like R107s,
Yep.
the Mercedes SLs from the 70s and 80s,
Yep.
Geländewagens, Mercedes G-Wagons.
Those things really never lost value. I
No.
can't believe that.
But
I love them.
I mean, they're having a moment where the people are kind of discovering the weird ones, and they're
oh
weird ones
yeah,
are
I
beginning to
agree. The
explode. Like that's happening.
W462s,
Yeah.
especially.
Like they're beginning to blow up.
Yeah.
DeLoreans are finally doing something.
Oh,
Renault
feel like-
5s are
Which are
another car.
excellent cars.
That's another car where a lot of people have been saying, hey, we have this really cool French car. It's called the Le Car. And nobody bought it, and it actually was better than a Golf. It actually...
oh, the Motor Week on that was great.
Yeah.
Like, we love the supple ride and the excellent handling.
And people were like, one side's longer than the other. And it's like, yeah, one side is longer than the other because that was...
Handmade, bro.
No, not even. Actually,
really?
no,
guess I don't know
Renault
much
had been
about
doing
Motor.
that on a lot of their cars because they could use the same self-leveling suspension
Mm-hmm.
without running into alignment issues when the car's at full tilt.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the way the control arms would work. But
Oh, that's okay.
yeah, then
They are good engineers, the French.
yeah, and the Citroën DS is another one of Jana's favorites. She freaks
Well
out with those all the
said,
time.
sir.
Yeah,
Very proud over here.
thank you. Then there's some other weird ones like the X90, of course.
Which
And
is
then-
not a French car.
No,
No.
definitely not. But
Thanks, Jen.
the R170 Mercedes SLKs, the hairdresser
Yep.
SLK
I
from the
remember those,
90s.
the M111
Oh, I
powered
love them
Yeah.
so
compressors.
much.
Yeah, they're really cool,
I
and
don't
they're
know
They're
why.
decent. I
They're-
drove one a while back. It was fine. If they offered a manual, I would
They did.
consider one. You could get a manual to 230.
yeah, 230 compressor manual. Yeah,
Nice. That'd actually
So,
be a decent car.
yeah. Basically, what that is.
Slow as dog shit though. They're super
Yeah, but
heavy.
that's the thing is it's like if the Miata was a GT. That's what that was. Like
Okay.
that's how I like about it.
I do like that. Those were retractable hardtop, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Yeah, it's an innovative car.
And then another car, which is like kind of in the realm of more JDM stuff, would
Yeah.
be the Nissan POW. And Gianna loves the Nissan POW.
Those
do.
are very cute
I
cars.
totally murdered one the other day, and it drove just fine.
Yeah, it was Hep's car.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, I saw a photo of that one posted recently in social feeds. I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm wondering, Gianna, what are some of your picks for a collector car that you would buy to invest in?
Are we
Because
specifically
you-
talking French stuff?
Not necessarily.
Okay, all right.
Just in general. Because
So what's upcoming?
what is an
Okay.
upcoming... Because you have very, very good taste, either
Yeah.
advertently or inadvertently.
Yeah, right now I'm looking at my Pinterest board, and I'm seeing a lot of different Porsches and Mercedes. Like, I love the older Mercedes. Like,
Like the Pontons,
So
the
much,
ones
like,
from the 50s
I don't know,
and
like-
the early 60s, or...
when I was younger, I just kind of ignored Mercedes.
Yeah.
And then I saw the older ones, and I was like, holy shit.
This is my spirit animal.
This is, yeah. And so, like,
I
I've
see
really
a lot
taken
of
to...
pagodas right
Yeah,
now.
a lot of pagodas.
Those cars
Fiats.
are stratospheric now.
Yes, they are.
I love all sorts of Fiats, like 500s or, you know,
Hey, I
the
have some of those.
Jolly.
Oh,
or-
the 600 Jolly.
Yeah.
The comedians in cars getting whatever episode
love
with the
that.
600 Jolly and Louis C.K.
Yes.
Oh.
Best episode.
Perfect. Yes, it was.
It was perfect.
He was so
absolutely.
uncomfortable. It
We
was
should also have Jerry Seinfeld on at some point.
I would love that. I would also love to have Louis C.K. on.
a lot of micro cars like BMW Isettas and, you know, Messerschmitts.
I
Oh,
see
yeah.
a bunch
Alfa
of
Romeo
Volkswagen things.
Giulias, which I think they're
Talking
already
newer or old
pretty
ones?
older ones.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I like
Those
the
are super
sedan
gorgeous,
better
yeah.
than the coupe, which is surprising.
Because you have good taste. Coupes are dumb.
I saw a Volkswagen thing there.
Yes, there's
those
lots
are-
of things.
Do you have a Schwimmenwagen in there?
Probably
No, I don't see
somewhere.
one.
That,
But
that, I've got like
Schwimmenwagens are so
hundreds
cool.
of cars, Morris Minors, you know, a
So-
lot of pre-war cars because I love the Great Gatsby, and I'm gonna get a tattoo of
Duesenberg,
you know, Duesenberg.
Duesenberg
So
XJ.
I look for Art Deco cars all the time on Pinterest, so I'll just ring the bell for myself.
So maybe to
time for
kind
my
of
next
summarize, it looks like
Oh,
a lot of weird pre-war cars that
Yeah.
are kind of undiscovered right now, because I feel like a lot of millennials that are like about the Great Gatsby have not really looked into them, and I
No.
think that once it's just a matter of time. You just need like a few people that are into the Great Gatsby
Yeah.
that get into cars, and then that could create a new pre-war market. So that would be
I'll be very curious over the next, we'll say, 30 years. What happens to
they're gonna tank.
like the 20s to the mid
Yeah.
50s? Like
They're
what's
going
gonna
to
happen
tank.
to those cars?
Yeah.
Because like those are boomer dream cars.
Yeah.
yeah, which
Boomers are
like
dying.
I
Their
would
kids
be
don't want them.
I would be really sad if I saw them just go away. Like I want them
They're
to
not
go
gonna
into
get scrapped or anything.
No,
but
they're
like,
just gonna be very cheap.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I want them to like go into museums because like I honestly think like cars are like works of art. Like
Well, a lot of the times they are from. Yeah, I mean,
especially from that time period because like you had a lot of coach builders and you know
the one period, and you guys are probably gonna love the fact that I talk positively about something pre-war,
yes.
but the period from the mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
People started doing wind tunnels and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Like it was really cool.
and Art Deco was a thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
There
This
were
is-
some cars that had some pretty skookum designs going on there.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
I was
think the three of us just have a massive heart on for Art Deco. Like
I love
Oh,
Art Deco.
God.
yeah. That's why I mentioned my favorite coach builder, Stoutcheck. Between Stoutcheck and Porto,
Yeah.
those two coach builders account for probably the best Art Deco cars you can ever find. Like the Stoutcheck Graham 48 is one of the best front ends I've ever seen in my life.
I'll take your word for it. I don't really want to Google it.
Yeah, Porto did a bunch of really good Talbot Lagos, but yeah, I have links below
Okay.
once we get to them.
yeah,
Sure.
and like another car that I keep on seeing come up on my Pinterest board that I have is a Ford Anglia. Like
Yeah.
I think
That one, yeah.
I bet
That
that
one
thing is
could
going to
come
have a
up.
little more of a following because of the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah.
Yes, the Harry Potter
That's
car.
what I was
That's
gonna
a-
say,
I know
yeah.
a lot of people. Well, because one of my favorite things is that I kind of
It's
pride
going to be
myself on.
popular because of cosplay, though.
I think.
Yes.
Well, one of my things.
so we'll see a lot of flying sedans. It'll be great.
Yeah.
One of my things I
I'm
kind of
fine
pride
with that, I
myself on
guess.
is showing people that aren't car people into the car culture. And the way I usually
Oh,
do
yeah,
that
do
is
that.
I use cars like the Anglia.
You use your volume.
Yes.
Well, no, I mean like to get them actually interested instead of screaming at them. Like the GTO's really cool. That's how you make people not like cars. But no, you
What about
appeal
that
to
one
the,
time you went after somebody with a bat, though? That was pretty loud.
Well, that was different. That was somebody doing a burnout.
Okay, cool.
But no, so
Had to
things like the
sneak it
Ford
in there.
Anglia I use to get people into cars
Yeah.
a lot.
86.
Well, the A86 not as much.
That's a little new, though.
That's
Yeah.
well, no, that's something that's more like you find the A86 on your own.
Yeah.
But or if somebody,
86 finds you.
yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
Now I use cars that are more appeal to their taste. So something that's like usually cute, that's small, fun to drive. So it's Ford Anglia's French cars and old Italian cars are cheap.
Yeah, and one that's not on my Pinterest, but I
Yeah.
really like is the Ford Bronco, and like I would
Like
really
an
Like
OJ
those are-
vintage one?
Those are
Yes.
having a
Oh,
moment
man.
now. Oh my
Yeah.
God, they've
Yeah,
gone
clean
up.
one of those is worth a lot of
And
money.
like
now.
Ryan can tell
Especially
you
a white
I,
one.
I
Short wheelbase.
liked all of these cars,
Yeah.
and then they happen to become
Right,
popular.
no,
That's
yeah.
why we're doing this segment. Like
Right.
I also like FJ Cruisers, which
I
they're
love those.
starting to come.
The fact that the
The
three
wi-
windshield
the other
wipers.
ones, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
The,
I want a
uh,
manual FJ kind
But
of
yeah,
bad.
I want a
The FJ
baby
the
blue
FJ
Bronco with a white top. But
First
we
gen,
can we can vinyl wrap the bottom part white.
Can
and
you
then
imagine the confusion of somebody pulling up next to you at a set of traffic lights and you driving that vehicle?
It would
I know,
be
right?
amazing.
and not like some like
It is
jacked
just
up
the
steroid bro.
antithesis of
Yeah,
RJ
so,
stuff.
like,
But if
I'm-
you think of it though, like a first gen Bronco, it's baby blue. That's like a
Yeah.
total Jana car. Cause
no, it is.
compared
I'm not
to
saying it's a
everything.
bad
el-
idea. Not
Yeah,
at
I
all.
mean, like compared to everything else, that's a tiny little off roader. It's
yeah,
perfect.
but I definitely want to vinyl wrap it white and drive
Sure.
it to LA and
course.
get a few friends that are cops
drive
to
down the
chase
middle of the
me.
405.
Wait,
Yeah.
are you talking about a first gen or one of the '90s ones? Because
Uh,
he had a
Early
'90s one.
Yeah.
we can
He
do
had like
both.
a 93.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I'll do it both ways.
His
it's
was the
fine.
11th gen.
Dude, a first gen
think.
uncut Bronco is unattainable.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
dreams, to fill a garage like
Oh, for sure.
this,
I also have dreams of that.
Yeah.
before we move on to the next thing,
Yes.
which I'll let you guys handle, I do want to talk about the beer one more time. Thank you to Nick Johannes
Yeah,
for
thank you,
supplying the
Nick.
beer.
Thank you.
Nick
He is hanging around in the background.
He is outside of the camera view.
And
for
then
those
one
on
other
YouTube.
thing, before we started the episode, Randy Stern, a previous guest from last week, 2 weeks ago, he stopped by and gave us a couple of promo glass care products, and I just want to thank him for that. So
Yeah, thank you,
props
Randy.
to randystern.net, RANDYSTERN.NET.
As spelled correctly on our
Previous
SoundCloud.
podcast. yeah. If you want to go to his website and you want a link, it's good everywhere except iTunes.
Okay,
think.
except
I
for
think
that.
it's-
No, and I know that the first one he did
SoundCloud
with
and
us,
iTunes are the same.
SoundCloud and iTunes, yeah. So,
But both of those places don't have clickable links, so we're good. But if
Good.
you find it on YouTube and Facebook, you're good. Anyway, that's all I really wanted. I just want to plug those people. So
another car that Jana was very excited about when I showed it to her was the Renault Twingo GT.
Yes, I actually found it through a shitposting group on Facebook.
there's two very old ladies with a handicap permit in looks like a leased Mitsubishi Outlander
Yes.
driving around slack jawing the Ferrari sitting up in the air.
Ugh.
Sorry, Jana, please.
But yeah,
follow through.
I found the Renault Twingo like
You're talking first gen, right?
yes, first
Yeah,
gen.
The
like
first
the
gen she
93 and
found.
up.
Yeah, which I thought it was
Let me-
adorable.
That's another
Let me
car,
move
I would
this
say.
over.
Why don't you show them the picture?
I will show the nice ladies and gentlemen. Just bear with me.
I
Keep
would
talking,
I would
I'll put it
actually
up
say
there.
that would be another car I think you should put on your list of cars that are going to
Yes.
increase in value.
And like the thing is, like
Certainly
right now,
in this
there's a
market.
lot of shit posting about it because everybody secretly loves it, but they know it's not the best car. So like, there's this beautiful picture I found on the internet
Yeah.
through this shit posting group just yesterday, who has kind of
I'll
been
blow
on
this up a little bit.
hiatus. But it's a first gen Renault Twingo, and then a little Renault Twingo like motor car, and then one that you can push a little baby on. And I love it because this encapsulates why I love the car. I sent it to our sound engineer Corey the
It's
other day,
super
and he's
cute.
like, "Which one's the real car?"
Oh my god. I can't tell if it's a medium-sized one, a comically large one, and a small one, or if it's a small one and two comically large ones.
Yeah, you know.
and
They're super cute. I on Manual Elitist Jerks, the Twingo is like the spirit animal of that group.
Good.
Like
Perfect. I'm
anytime
gonna go
somebody
follow
shit
them.
posts, it's like somebody posts like a picture of like a 93 Twingo with like angry Twingo, mad at you, or like merci Twingo.
The
And then,
car
like,
is
it's
so
like Twingo
happy.
Tuesdays where people post like the
Oh.
plushies. You guys would both
I need
love
to
this
add
group.
this group.
Yeah, it's called Manual Elitist Jerks on Facebook. I highly suggest you go there.
there's actually a Twingo memes page on Facebook too.
Oh my word.
That's the shit posting.
See,
group.
that's why this car has a future, because people love it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is, if a car starts out being a meme, people will eventually desire it.
Desire
Usually.
it.
Well, I mean, if a lot of cars like all
mean,
you
I
all you
get
need is
you.
hype. That's it.
Yeah.
You just need the hype.
But is that car really like a lust-worthy, desirable car? Or
I
is
think
it just
so.
people want it because it's cute and it's
Well,
cheap?
first off,
I
it's
think
super
cute
cute
and
and cheap.
cheap.
It's cute and cheap.
cheap and
and-
cheerful.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that the
I
design
love those episodes.
the design is actually a really good example
Yeah.
of 90s car design.
It is. It's a fabulously practical car.
And
Cute.
it's
Got the little
also
hood louvers.
it was very groundbreaking because it was actually the first city car designed just for people who live in the city, not people who have to drive on the highway.
Right.
So that car actually is a very groundbreaking car. Prior to that, they had never done that. Like, yeah, you had micro cars, but that was more of an austerity thing
It looks
than a
more modern
city
to
car.
me than '93 when
Yeah.
it was, brought into production. So.
Yeah, no, I really, really like that. But anyway, they have a second generation
Yeah.
called the Twingo, but the Twingo has
Wow.
a hotted up version called a Twingo GT.
Does it have the cup chassis?
I don't know. Does it?
Well, I mean, it's an optional thing.
Yes,
I
it
hope
does,
you
yes.
would buy the cup chassis.
What's the cup chassis?
17-inch wheels, stiffer
Oh, okay.
suspension.
Well, anyway, what's cool about the Twingo? Actually, another reason why it's desirable: it's a rear engine, rear wheel drive.
Really?
Yes, and the Twingo GT is as well. And actually, they did that for safety
Really?
because in a car that small, if you get in a front end collision,
So do they have 3 gens of Twingo?
no, not two.
Because the most modern one, the one that we
There
did the
is
Top
one
Gear
now,
on,
yeah.
when
There's-
he launches the Twingo into the water and there's a guy in
I
the
think
trunk.
that was a first gen.
No, it was
No,
like a
'cause they still make
2012.
Twingos.
I know.
something like
That's
that.
what I'm talking about. The current one is rear engine, rear wheel drive.
So then one after this, then.
Okay.
So there must be a third.
there must
gen
be a
now?
third
Let's-
gen. I don't know.
let's
I
look
guess
it
we
up.
could use the power of Wikipedia.
For sure, the one that was in the Top Gear episode was front wheel drive.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Go
but
into
no,
the
the
Renault
newest one is
Twingo.
rear engine, rear wheel drive.
That's kind of cool.
And they did it for safety actually, because if you
Yeah,
enter a car
there's
that's
3 gens.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
The 3-door hatch is the Twingo 1 and 2, and then
Okay.
5-door is the third.
Okay, cool. So that makes sense then.
And you're right, it's
I didn't
rear
know.
engine, rear wheel drive, and the first 2 are front wheel.
Yep, that
front
makes
engine,
sense.
yeah.
Okay.
So they've been getting better. Every generation of the Twingo has become more of a performance car. It is now effectively a 5-door 911.
And on that note,
Okay.
But anyway,
I do have to say that I just I filled out the questions for the manual elitist
Oh, yeah?
one, and the first one's like, what was the first car you drove manual? And mine was a Saturn Vue. Yikes.
yeah, but the
That's
fact that you
terrible.
drove a manual Saturn Vue, it's like
Right.
saying your first car was a manual Element or like a
Right.
manual Bronco.
like
Yeah.
it's a
Or
great
like I had a
version of a
Duramax
Mac.
with
And
a
then the
manual.
second question is, if you could choose between world peace or your dream car, what color
color's your
color you
dream car?
choose? And I
Yeah.
said ruby stone red. Duh.
which is
You will definitely get approved.
the best
Yes.
color.
I should look and
for
see if I can
Porsche.
approve you. I might be able to.
Anyway.
Anyway,
So with the Twingo GT, the newest one, they have a 3-cylinder turbo,
yeah.
which it makes about like 110 horsepower, which is actually a ton for a car that weighs less than
How many
sorry.
cc is the displacement?
1 liter.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
so good. But I hate to tangent on this, but I'm gonna just keep going after I say this. On an earlier episode, I was told that the 1.5 liter GM Ecotec engine that was the base engine in the new Terrain and Equinox is a 3-cylinder. I felt like it was a 4. It is a 4. It's not a
Okay,
3-cylinder.
okay.
So please keep going.
That's fine. I forgive you, as do all of our listeners. 'cause
Nobody
they
remembers
really don't
it.
give a
They
shit.
don't care. I never got any complaints about it, but it's eating me up inside.
Well,
so-
yeah, no, I did the same thing when I was talking about the Datsun
I remember
DBs.
yeah.
Anyway, so Renault owns Nissan and Mitsubishi.
Yep.
And the
I
Mitsubishi
remember.
Mirage is here, and that uses a 1-liter 3-cylinder
Yep.
as well.
It does.
It's
We drove
it's
Cruiser.
front-wheel drive,
Yeah.
but it's, whatever. I really, really, really want Renault, because they've never actually designed a Nissan so far. The Eclipse Cross was designed when not Nissan. The Eclipse Cross was designed when Mitsubishi was its own company.
Yeah.
They've yet to design a car. I really just want them to partsman engineer a performance Mirage and put the Twingo GT engine in the front of the
That'd
Mirage.
be pretty cool.
And they have like naming conventions already. They used to have a performance
And
Mirage.
crash testing a Mirage costs like 50 cents.
Yeah.
So,
But they had back in the 70s, they had a performance Mirage. It was called Mirage FTO, which
oh, I remember the FT. They
the
had
the FTO
Well, that's
was
a bespoke model.
very
too,
cool car.
but yeah.
But no, the FTO was originally a trim level of the Mirage.
Right, but it became its own mark.
Yeah,
after
just
that.
like the 3000 GT in Japan was called a GTO. That was
Yep.
also a performance
Correct.
trim level of a Mirage, as was the Evo, I think.
Gran
if I'm not
Turismo
mistaken.
Omologato.
But anyway,
If you guys were wondering what GTO stood
yeah,
for.
sure. Anyway,
It's true.
I really want Mitsubishi and Renault to make a Mirage FTO with the Twingo GT engine. That would be perfect. I
all
think
about that.
because you're still going to get 40 miles per gallon. You're going to have 100 horsepower,
Yeah.
which is going to be decidedly like 30 more than you have now. That would be it'd be 50% more power.
Yeah.
And
it would
that'd
be
be-
fabulous. Like
that would
the
be
one
so
the stock
fun.
one I drove was great.
That'd be so fun with that much power because you'd have 100 horsepower. It's like a Fiat 500 Abarth with 150. Like it's the ultimate slow car
Well, I have
fast.
like 160 already.
What do you know what I mean? But I mean, like,
no, I know.
it's
I
ultimate
agree
slow
with you.
car
I think it's a
fast.
great, yeah. But again, not a French car.
no, it's not. However, it would be using a French engine. So, yeah, undo that dawning. Anyway, Burger, let's talk about, because a lot of people are wondering, why are we giant fans of French cars?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but I mean, like you guys were talking about earlier, there was a certain vehicle you saw or you had an experience with that grabbed you and pulled you in. And some people don't like French cars. I don't like those people because they're
Oh,
dumb. But for me, it's the Renault Aventime. And this is pretty much the only thing I'm going to actually like instigate on this episode because it's the only thing I feel passionately about.
yeah.
This thing was a concept car by Renault. You saw it at the auto shows in 1999. It was this giant monospace based on the Renault Espace, so minivan.
Yeah.
But it had two gigantic doors, the largest doors ever fitted to a production car.
Weren't they double hinged?
They
so
are.
You could actually
Yeah, they're a
get
lot
into
like-
and out of them.
So this predates the Mercedes CL, the
Yeah.
C215, which had the double hinge.
Up.
I will while I'm talking. Hopefully, I can do two things at once. But anyway, this car I firmly believe is the most. You just took a concept car and you put it into production.
They
thing
literally
I've ever
did.
seen.
I've
it had
never
the
seen
same
anything
wheels,
like that. Yeah.
like the concept car had like not DOT, whatever the French governing body was. Like all the headlights were at the right levels, so
Yeah.
they could make it, so they didn't have to make any changes to it.
They just made it.
And this thing, man, it seats 4. It's the size of a small moon. It doesn't get terrifically good fuel economy, but it is like the most interesting looking vehicle I have ever seen.
You know,
And
I was pre-gaming this show by actually doing doing a bunch of research on this, and I watched a Renault
you sent me
UK
this morning. I haven't had time to
video.
watch it yet.
We'll post it up on the Motorcult
Yeah.
Facebook page, but the Renault Aventime actually, the design elements from this vehicle
Yeah.
went on to influence every
It did.
single
And
Renault
when you
to
see it in the
date.
Megane, yeah, I mean it was the first car that started the design language for a decade of Renault product.
Oh, more than because it's still they're
Yeah,
still
there are
doing
still
it.
elements,
like the
absolutely.
Renault
Look at the-
Captive or
You
Captur,
can
whatever
even
you call
see
it.
parts of the Renault Twingo in it. If you
Yeah.
look at the front end, it looks very similar to the third generation.
Yeah, it
of
looks like a
Renault
modern
Twingo.
Twingo. I love the taillights where they flip around.
I know.
They do
like the little
180 on 'em.
trapezoid hourglass thing.
Yeah,
like
it's
that's
really
straight over
cool.
onto the Megane.
I love it. When
And I think it's really cool because it speaks to the Renault logo
Yes.
as well.
It does.
oh, it does.
And I mean, keep in mind, this thing was designed in like '99, and it looks like it could be on sale today.
Oh yeah.
Not only was it designed in 1999, we also have to talk about that this came from a car company living in what is now a very conservative country with the evil queen of numbers, Carlos Ghosn, as the president. So Carlos Ghosn, you have to understand, is the guy who has made Nissan about as boring as humanly possible. But at the same time, has the ability to make something as cool as the Aventime.
And I'm glad he did, because clearly they knew going into this it wasn't going to sell real well. But this vehicle almost bankrupted Nissan.
Jesus. Maybe that's why
They
Nissan's
literally
boring now.
they made a factory to start production on these, and they literally had to close the factory and a bunch more just to
Oh, no.
make the company not fail.
That is hilarious.
They made this vehicle for 3 years. They sold a grand total
of how many?
3,600 units.
Oh,
It's like 1,000 a
no.
year. That's
know.
nothing.
It's
We were just watching a documentary on the Renault 4, and they sold like
200,000 per year for 30 years.
yeah, no, I mean, again, this wasn't designed to sell a lot, but they were hoping
You
it
were
was
to
going to sell a
something.
lot more than
Yeah,
1,000
I just wanted
units
to-
a year.
show the people that Renault does sell cars,
All right,
but
absolutely.
not
Yeah,
that
they
one.
do.
But I'm so glad they made this because
Oh, yeah.
in 7 years, if I can find one that isn't beat to a pulp, which I should be able to,
Should
I
we
would
move-
take
bringing it in.
I would take up Brian's offer to
Yeah.
get one now.
Should we move on the topic of which French car we'd import since we're talking about that?
Sure.
Aventime?
Yeah, let's.
Yeah.
So that's my answer. I
Yeah.
can.
Aventime.
Oh my! I can and will import an Aventime in several years' time.
Or do the Showtime.
Show or display.
Yeah.
So Jana, what would you import then?
I'm not going to import anything. I'm going to move to Canada and buy an electric Twingo.
Okay.
Actually, to be honest, this is also Patreon topics. I think Scott. It looks like something Scott wrote because it was really like worded in legal jargon.
Okay.
But I tailored it to French only.
Okay.
So you would just move to Canada.
Yes.
And just own one for a daily driver to date.
Yes,
Okay,
I'd
that's fair.
get like a nice little cabin, on a lake.
Sounds majestic and
Yeah,
very expensive.
And because like we live in South Canada, so I
We
could
do.
just
We
drive.
say A sometimes.
Yeah,
When we get
so-
really heated.
So we can drive up there. I say all the time.
I'd
You
be
just
okay.
have to say project and then you're good.
Oh yeah, project. So my
What was
my
that word that they were
project
pronouncing
is
really weird on As It Happens yesterday?
drama.
Drama? Yeah, they
Drama.
pronounce.
Drama.
They don't say drama. They say drama.
Oh yeah.
Drama.
See, the thing is, like, I actually want to go to school in Canada. So realistically, I do want to, for temporarily, move to Canada. And
It would be sweet if you had dual citizenship because then you could
Yeah.
potentially maintain it.
yeah, But
I don't know how tough that is. Canadians are kind of hesitant to let Americans in.
We're
I
also
wonder why.
Minnesotans,
Shocking.
So in Manitoba, we have
Right.
reciprocity, so we could.
I didn't know that.
Reciprocity.
Yeah,
Reciprocity, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a word.
So
That makes sense.
definitely, I mean, we really only have it in Manitoba, but that's still close enough, you know.
Hey, that's in Canada.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Also, Manitoba is very sparsely populated, so I mean, there's probably a lot of curvy roads.
So we can make a racetrack.
Well, no, I was thinking more that they don't have much of an economy, so they can't afford to build bridges, so they just have very curvy roads there, which are good driving roads.
They are indeed.
That's actually why most country
That's a
roads.
hell of a digression, but yeah.
No, that's actually why most country roads are so curvy, because it's cheaper to just make
to
a
follow the
cool
contour. Yeah,
curvy
for sure.
road than make a bridge.
Way cheaper.
Yeah,
Oh, should we excavate all this earth or just sort of not do that?
yeah. Let's just not do that.
So that's my answer, because like not only could I get a Twingo, but I could get all the other French.
You can get an
cars we're
Aventime
missing.
right now.
Yeah, I could get an Aventime. Just all the Renaults.
Well,
I
technically, you have to wait 2 years for an Aventime.
In Canada.
In Canada, is it
I
not
thought it was
15?
a 20-year rule. Is
20
it 15?
It's 15.
Oh, well then, yeah, you could definitely have an Aventime.
Yeah,
And I would be extremely jealous, and I'd like to come visit and drive it.
for sure.
And you
I'll
also
drive it here on the weekends.
there is one thing you did not mention on the Aventime is that it has a VQ35 in it.
It's a VQ30.
Oh, it's a VQ30.
Yep.
But you could put a VQ35DE
Definitely
into
could.
it.
Yep.
which
Or a
would be-
VQ37, or potentially a VR38.
Well,
Oh.
the VQ37 you would have to be a front-wheel drive one though.
So what
Oh, yeah,
I'm
those are rare, aren't they?
hearing
I don't
is-
think they even made a VQ. Well, I guess the Maxima, yeah. So you could do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing is we just need to import all the Renault Aventimes and explore our options.
I would like to import one questionably legally and just have it. Just
and
leave it in my
just
garage.
have it. Just have it.
Like, I
Um,
don't even care if it doesn't move for now.
So
For
for my choice for what I would import,
Yeah.
I have 3 choices. 2 of them, unfortunately, are already in America, but they had to be imported. So, but my one I would definitely import, if I could import any French car, would be the one that started it all for me, the Renault Clio V6,
Gen 2?
the Series 2, yeah, the one
Series
from the
2, yeah.
late 90s,
I think it's
early
2003.
2000s. Yeah, early 2000s. That one, yeah.
Yep.
It was a homologation cup car.
Yep.
It was a
And
Renault
it looked
Clio.
like it.
It was a Renault Clio, which is a 4-cylinder front-wheel drive equivalent to a Civic, but they lowered it, put a wide body on it, and put a V6 in the rear of it, out of an Aventime. So VQ30.
Oh, yeah.
It was really cool.
With a Maxima transaxle.
I can attest to how much Ryan loves the Renault Clio. That's the name Clio is on the list of our firstborn daughters.
Yeah. So when it eventually happens,
Yeah,
we
so-
I am
Yeah.
not surprised at
Clio.
all.
Yeah.
they're actually I plan on naming my
I'm
daughters.
actually surprised it's not more obscure.
No, actually,
Right.
well, I plan on naming all of my daughters after French cars. So Clio, DS.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if I misspelled just DS or DS.
I would do like DIESSE or something.
I don't know. I just think just DS Sininsky. Or Zoe after the electric hot
That'd be
hatch
pretty
that they
good. Okay.
made. But anyway, so
Not Twizzy.
yeah, Twizzy would be. Oh, that'd be a really cute
Twingo.
name.
Twingo would be all right.
So
Twizzy is actually not that shit a name.
so all right.
There's
For
a
those of you on
Series 2.
YouTube, yes, there's a
That
series
can be
2. That's
another-
the one I was thinking
Or
of.
Phase 2, whatever they call it.
Yeah, it's phase 2. But anyway, for those of you on YouTube, it is literally as I described it.
Yep.
A wide body rear engine hot hatch.
Yep.
Now, the other two, Burger, I think you should just copy paste because they have long ass names. The first one is a Porto Delage D8 120 Coupe.
Where are these even listed?
If you go down to the bottom of the listing, or of the notes, right above World Cup of Cars, you'll see it.
All right, I'll keep plugging through here.
But the Porto Delage D8 120 Coupe, unfortunately, that one is in America. It's a one-of-one car. And the other one is a Figoni Falaschi Talbot Lago SS 150.
Just by those names, I'm guessing those are super old.
Yep, you are right, but they are. You know, I was talking about the best Art Deco cars.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're about to see it. It's gonna happen in your face hole.
I don't know if you can tell by my face, but I'm not terribly amused that I'm Googling this.
I've never seen somebody more stone-faced in my life.
And Burger gets pretty stone-faced.
So, all right, there you have it. This is a really, really pretty car. It looks like a cigar, kind of, for those of you on the podcast and not on the video. But
Just picture an old car with really swoopy fenders and big wheels and stuff.
that's a good description.
Yep.
but it had a straight 8.
That's pretty cool.
Which is pretty tight. It made 120 horsepower, which is also pretty tight. Super short gearing, 3-speed manual transmission, rear-wheel drive. That breeze is real nice.
Oh, I can smell the cooking too.
Yes, it's just fantastic. But no, it made 120 horsepower, which is actually pretty good for.
Probably made like 7,000 foot-pounds of torque too. So.
Yeah, and it was a 3-liter engine with.
Impressively small displacement for the vintage.
Yeah, for that's what I like about pre-war French cars, because back then they were actually making some power. The other one is that name. I'm not gonna even have you type word for word. You can just copy pasta it as well. Figoni, Falashi, Tabalago SS150. This
is hard to copy.
Yeah, it's really long. But these are both coach-built cars, and coach building was really popular in France. Like back prior to, even after World War II, up until the 60s, really, when you could do whatever you wanted.
So this looks like a Morgan.
It looks like crossing a Morgan and a Bugatti Atlantique.
It looks like somebody just like melted some butter over a Morgan.
It's just beautiful.
It has enclosed headlights, which is really impressive.
Yeah, and suicide doors.
I don't care.
But
about
this one beats the Delage.
What about the Citroën Aventime?
The Aventime's on my list. I just didn't want a Steelburger's fire.
The Renault?
No, wait.
The Renault Aventime? What are you talking about?
No.
You gotta face the microphone, Jana.
I can't remember what it's called.
Is it an old car?
Old car?
Yes, old car.
How old?
Alpine?
Oh, Traction Avant.
There we go.
We had them in America. We don't have to import it. So that's how that one is included. Actually, speaking of that,
yeah,
the French basically imported the car, and I have a list of just things that they made that's a mile long, and we don't have to talk about everything on it. But I mean, like,
there's a lot of stuff that they were the first to market with.
They made the first, like, not horse-drawn land vehicle in 1769. Nicholas Joseph Cognat, Cuno.
Where are we?
Cuno, yeah. Berger went to French immersion. I did not. Is very
I do
apparent.
speak French, so I'm happy to help. If you guys
thank
struggle.
you. But that was the first land vehicle. But then they also made the first large-scale steam car,
the Bolet
in 1878.
What was that just drove by?
It's probably Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
It was like a Hummer, but a pickup truck.
Oh yeah, it's like one of those
it's
like
International
Kodiak,
CXT.
Whatever. Yeah, it's
and
like
now there's a semi-truck camper driving by.
if it's like you have an F450, but your penis is even smaller, then you just go ahead and get one of those.
And that's what you're hearing right now.
Anyway, so I hate people, and
but anyway, I'm just gonna keep plugging away. These are all the things that just like other manufacturers outside of the big ones I've noted have done. The literal first land speed record ever.
Jean Duc.
That was the car. It's a Jean Duc. 1898. They also did the first land speed record over 100 kilometers per hour or 60 miles per hour.
Damn, that's pretty lit.
Well, in 1899 with a fucking tiller and a 1-inch wide tire, that's amazing.
I'll do that on a bicycle, bro.
That was the CETA number 25 La Jamais Content.
That's close enough where I won't correct you.
Thank you. I tried really hard. That was 1899.
But the first one was perfect.
And then Gabron Brille did the first. You help me with that one.
No, you're good.
What is it?
No, it's fine.
What was it?
First 100-mile-an-hour plus land speed record.
I know, but how do you pronounce that?
Gobron Brille.
Yeah, okay. So Gabron Brille.
French names. Creme brulee.
Keep your pants on, Jana.
They had the first 100-mile-an-hour plus land speed record.
That's impressive.
In 1904.
Yeah.
Again,
terrifying.
Without a steering wheel.
The balls that size don't exist these days.
It was 103.56 miles per hour on a beach in the sand.
This legally would not
with
be
a
able
tiller.
to even be thought of today. Like,
no.
You would think it, and then the thought please.
I don't know how those people sat down.
These people,
just basketballs.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a picture of the guy that did the 100-mile-an-hour land speed record.
How big was his mustache?
Enormous.
Was it waxed?
There's a picture of him. It was a big twirly mustache, like covered. What went from like jawbone to jawbone. He had a monocle.
Oh my god. There are certain aspects of the past that I do think are cool. Monocles are one of those things.
I'm not gonna lie. He did not have a top hat, but he had a bowler hat like Winston Churchill.
I know what bowlers are.
He had coattails, and yeah, it was the most amazing picture. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, either had a cigar or a pipe in his hand. Like, it was just the best picture ever. But no, I mean, even outside of that, there's Panhard, which is famous for the Panhard rod.
Yep.
They also made, that was 1891. I can't get the date right. It was definitely Pa that made the Panhard rod.
Sure.
Which Pa is actually Panhard. It's spelled Panhard, but because French is a stupid language, every letter after the second letter is silent.
It'd be like Panard, probably, in French. Panard. Because they don't really like to pronounce H's.
Yeah, or
because it's just
D's
too much
or
work.
R's. Yeah. You just say something like you have
it's
a
lazy language.
If you have a mouthful of butter and you're drunk, that's how you would pronounce a word.
Like, go back to our Proving Grounds episodes.
Yeah.
Basically, just listen to us. That's basically France.
Yeah, that's kind of how France is.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Panhard rod, which is, if any of you have ever done anything with solid rear axle, you know what a Panhard rod is.
Yep.
The clutch pedal, being a pedal, that was French, 1887. Système Panhard, that was the standard automobile layout. The front engine, rear wheel drive. Thank you. Front engine, rear wheel drive, sliding gear transmission, 4 wheels. I know sliding gear transmission sounds ridiculous, but prior to that, your transmissions were like bicycle transmissions. They were not sliding gears. And the fact that you had 4 wheels is also a big deal.
Yeah.
Because you had like 5
Benz
wheels,
Patent Motorwagon
3
was
wheels.
3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then the steering wheel, 1894 for the Paris-Rouen Rally. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Paris-Rouen.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that was actually a performance upgrade, the steering wheel. But that was Panhard's only thing.
Upgrade steering wheel. I like it.
Sleeve valves, 1910. I may go into those next episode as our interesting engineering, because I actually had to look up what a sleeve valve was, because I'd seen that previously, because Subaru used that in the Subaru 360 Young SS.
Of course they did.
100 horsepower per liter K car. But that's actually a really cool design. But staying in the same era, De Dion Bouton, then the De Dion tube. The De Dion tube is essentially is a gigantic sway bar.
I didn't even see this on the list.
I went to the bottom. It's underneath Bugatti.
Okay.
But no, the De Dion Bouton, the De Dion tube was really commonly used, actually to date, in independent rear suspension, rear-wheel drive vehicles. Nowadays, they're usually built into the chassis, but on a car with a weaker chassis, it's essentially a 2-inch thick sway bar.
Oh my god.
That, it's really cool.
That sounds heavy.
Yes. But no, it's also
De Dion.
But De Dion, they're more important just because they did things that weren't necessarily the first, but they made a modern thing.
Sure.
So
they set a standard.
Basically. They set a standard, basically. So they had like the first high revving car engine. Okay. So in 1895, like 900 RPM was about
really
to blow up
cooking.
the engine. They were running engines at 2,000 to 3,500.
Dude, that's like a 6BT Cummins.
It was actually hilarious how they figured out how to run that, because they were experimenting with roller bearings, which are ball bearings.
Yep.
Yeah. Basically, for those of you that aren't bearing experts.
Weird.
But they were spinning rod bearings basically at 900 RPM. And they couldn't.
Sounds like a Ford Flathead. Weird.
They couldn't figure out what the problem was.
Okay.
But the thing is they were trying to experiment with just how is exploding. So they're speeding up the engine to blow them up prematurely.
Yeah.
And it turns out after 2,000 or after 1,500 RPM, they were more reliable.
Is it just like a balancing issue?
That's what it was. Yeah, it was a balancing issue.
Sure.
So they were beginning to rev them out from 2,000 to 3,500, and then they made a relatively ton more power and way more reliable. So they were making on what was at that point like a 3 horsepower engine, making 9. They made.
It was probably more than that. I mean, a Model T had like 20 horsepower.
We're talking a 1-cylinder engine in 1895.
All right,
so that is.
How many rings is that for 18?
Well, it's A, you're not facing the microphone. B, I think it's probably 2 rings. Because that's pre-1900.
Yeah, for everything. So
pre-World War I. That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's
this
rings.
is like
Yep.
I know all this is pre-war, but the fact
this is pre-war.
It's very, very
oh,
pre.
wow.
This is like pre 7 years of war, I think.
pre-car.
Oh my
like
God.
it feels like it's almost pre-car at this point.
These are horseless carriage. Also, De Dion was the first foreign automobile built in America.
Nice.
1901. And the first successful mass production V8 in 1910.
Wow.
Yeah, they did that. 34 horsepower.
How did they get that much power from only 6.1 liters?
I don't know. 34 horsepower, 6.1 liters
Wow.
of the sleeve valve. I don't get it.
That is a lot of power. It's very dense.
Yeah, this is why I find these cars interesting. They're just so weird. Like the fact, like the way
French
they had
people are very weird.
the way they had a valve open in an engine, totally different than a modern car. I thought it was really cool. But moving on to like, so we've heard about Panhard, Bugatti.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be the last major really pre-war thing. Oh, never mind. Actually, I just outright lied because I forgot Renault and Peugeot basically.
Don't worry, we have some time.
Bugatti, first 4-valve per cylinder engine, 1910.
Yeah.
First production multi-valve engine, 1923, in the Brescia Tour, which was actually, if you think about that, every other car prior to that was just 2 valves. They had 3-valve.
Right.
Blew everybody's mind.
Which, I mean, it doesn't necessarily require overhead valve, but it probably did have it, I'm guessing.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm picturing like a 4-valve flathead, and it's just like the most ridiculous mental image
It was.
ever.
They were overhead valve. They had dual overhead cam even.
No, I know that. I mean,
Also, the
figure
first
that
alloy
cylinder had some
wheel.
flow. That's actually really impressive.
Yeah,
that one.
1924. The Bugatti Type 35 Le Mans car.
All right, carry on. I have to-
Howell front axle for weight reduction, Bugatti Type 35. First high revving V8, Bugatti Type 35, 6,000 RPM, which is actually pretty, I mean, to date is still a huge amount of power. Second largest automobile engine of all time. Also the largest automobile engine that was not put into an airplane, which is the Bugatti Royale, 12.7 liters. And incidentally, they actually put the Bugatti Royale 12.7 liter straight 8 into a train and set the land speed record on rail.
So Bugatti made the fastest train.
They basically made the second largest vehicle engine and then put it into a train. And on top of having the most expensive vehicle in the world at that point, they also had the fastest train with the same
That's
engine.
awesome.
So,
Did you purposely go into train building? No, I just wanted to set a world record. I thought it would be
we
fun.
had some leftover engines,
Well,
and we
why
decided, let's do something with it.
We want to get places faster, so
yeah, exactly.
we threw a Bugatti engine into a train.
They also made the first and arguably, I think, the only magnesium-bodied car.
Onlyest.
Yeah.
Probably because it's flammable.
Yeah, the Bugatti Type 57 Aerolith.
I'd like to drive it.
And then, well, to be fair, that was a concept car. That did not go into production, but it does exist and
Probably
is.
because it's massively expensive to make a magnesium body
Oh,
even
yeah.
today.
Yes.
Especially how large Bugattis were back
Oh, my
then.
word.
Actually, no, they were very small.
They were very small. I'm just imagining like
Small for the era.
No, I mean like they were the size of like an Insight.
Oh.
what?
Yeah,
I'm just
they're
like
really small cars.
imagining a car like
I don't
the
know.
size, like
Oh, maybe.
very
Okay.
long,
The-
made out
the-
of magnesium.
the
I guess
Bugatti Royale.
I'm picturing Bentleys, which are massive.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no, Bugatti. They made much smaller cars than that.
Interesting.
They were more like Alfa Romeo pre-war,
Ah,
Okay.
but
Those are very wind tunnel.
no, I was telling Jana they made the most expensive car pre-war and the second largest engine, the Bugatti Royale, and
Why don't we have car names like that anymore?
they're great
I don't
names.
know.
Royale.
And you know the
We
thing
just
is
have
with
Type
things like the
37.
Aztec.
well the thing is the Royale was really cool because to buy one
Yeah.
you had to go and eat dinner with I think a male Bugatti was his name. You had to eat.
Did you have to buy him dinner?
No, you had to go to dinner with him, and he had to actually interview you to see if you're worthy of the car. And famously, the king of Armenia wasn't allowed to have one because he said he had the worst table manners I've ever seen from a human being. And he sold the king of Armenia's Bugatti that he had already made to a German gynecologist.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Nice.
You didn't
Very
tell me that
fun.
last bit, and I really appreciate that last bit.
That is the most important part of that entire
Oh
story.
yeah.
So I'm glad you said it.
That is, it's
Oh,
it's
God,
a
I
hilarious
love that.
story. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, no, that Bugatti
German
Aerolyth.
It's so
gynecologist.
French.
Yeah, like he just like sold to somebody else because he didn't like the person personally.
You work on vagina, you have my car.
But then the Bugatti Aerolyth actually went into production with a aluminum body, which I
Okay.
think might have been a first, but I didn't have time to verify that. But it's worth mentioning. They also invented the hypercar in 1991 with the EB110.
I
Even though
do love the EB110. That's
At
one of my favorite cars
at that
ever.
point they were technically Italian. Now they're technically German.
Oh.
Yeah.
But they're still made
They've
in
been passed
Billancourt.
around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're still.
Yeah.
What was it? Shoot. What was the car? Is it the Focus RS that's made in like Essex or something? It's made in like some northern England place that nobody knows about.
The Focus RS and the Civic Type R engine.
It's kind of like the DeLorean.
Oh, I was thinking about the Civic Type R.
Yeah, because the Civic Type
actual car is made in like
probably would not
nowhere
be surprised.
suburb of England or something.
Yeah, that's where you make like every F1 engine is in northern
Yeah.
England.
Well, like even like the DeLorean, it's got a French engine.
Peugeot, Renault, Volvo
Um,
engine. Piece of
it-
shit.
It was built in Northern Ireland,
Yeah, I think so.
and it's technically an American car.
Right. Thank you.
So yeah, the
DeLorean.
DeLorean. There you go. That's
That
that's
car
another
is
good
like
one.
a cultural continental whore,
Oh,
Yes,
for sure.
it is.
even before
Also
it comes into the dealership.
Oh,
Speaking
yeah.
of horror,
We sold it like AMC dealers or some shit.
I'm
just
sure
for
they
fun.
still have cocaine in them.
Bugatti, of course, also makes the Veyron and the Chiron,
Yeah,
which
well,
I don't
nobody cares.
care about
No.
at
all
all.
automatics. EB110 was at least a manual.
I'm gonna blast through Citroën, Renault, and Peugeot.
'Kay.
Real quick. Citroën, first production car with disc brakes, 1955 in the DS.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever. First car with hydropneumatic suspension, 1954 in the DS. Directional headlights, 1955 in the DS. The radial tire, 1948 in the Deschavaux. Self-leveling suspension, 1948 Deschavaux. Unibody construction, 1934, and the Traction Avant, or I think it was actually technically called the 16 CV.
Again, an awesome name.
Yes.
Traction Avant. Avant.
First production front-wheel drive car actually beat Cord to the punch, barely, 1934. First high-pressure hydraulics in cars, 1954. Wind tunnel tested aerodynamics. This was done in the late 20s by Fiat, but on all of their cars across
mass
the board.
production car.
Yeah,
Can we
mass production cars
also
was in the
briefly
1950s.
mention that Citroën hid their cars from the Nazi, and that's why all of this is happening in the 1940s.
Let's
'cause
get to that in a second.
they had
though.
it
Tech.
before, but they didn't want Nazis to have it.
Let's
Right.
let's go into the details
Okay.
of that later, because I'm just trying to get through
Get through it. All right.
how important French vehicles
Sorry, I just
are
get
in
really
everything they did for the
I
car.
see the genuine excitement, so if we have to
So,
go over, that's just.
Bird, do you like not pushing your car out of a parking spot when
You
you
know,
park front end?
Actually, I had an E46 BMW with failed reverse one time. It was quite unpleasant.
You know what? You can thank Renault for that, because
Ah.
in 1899 they invented the reverse gear.
Wow, what a bunch of swell fellas that were drinking and probably having a bunch of cheese.
You know what else they did?
What?
They advertised it in a movie.
That's so cute.
Yeah, there was a movie where 1899 film where a gentleman got into a car, which was a Renault, and was parked head in, and there's some guys coming for him, and he hand cranked it, got into it, put it in reverse, and drove away. that was like most of the movie.
So had he not had that Renault, he would have been killed, assuredly.
Yes.
I assume.
Okay. Well, thank goodness he had that Renault with the reversing gear.
Do you also like your BMW 2002 and your E30s?
Yeah, they're fabulous.
They're great cars.
Well,
aren't
I
they?
haven't driven the 1600 yet, but
But, I
I'm guessing
mean-
it's good.
You like your E30s.
Yeah, it's great.
And to a lesser extent, you like your E46.
Yeah, it's a good car. I like the color.
Yeah. Well, you
Drives
can thank
nice-ish.
Renault for that as well, because they made the Renault 8 Gordini in 1964, which was the first actual affordable sports sedan.
Okay.
So you can thank him for that.
I won't be doing that, but sounds good.
The Renault 8? That car's awesome.
I just don't care.
You've never
I don't care about the vast majority of French cars, honestly.
Yeah, have you seen the Renault 8 though?
I'm sure I've seen photos.
Yeah, it's a rear-engine, rear-wheel drive
no, it's great.
sports
I
sedan.
just don't
Super
care.
cool.
There's still better stuff happening in Germany.
No, not even. That car's awesome. Besides, that car kicked German cars' ass when it was out.
Whatever. I like.
That was
I
post-war.
like some French cars. I do.
Anyway, the Renault 4 was actually the first mass production hatchback. Renault 4 CV was the
It's a
first.
small van.
Yes. The Renault 4 CV was the first French car to sell over 1 million units.
Dang, bud.
Also,
That's actually pretty significant.
yeah, it was. In 1968, they had the first CAD CAM system for automobiles at Unisurf.
Yeah, they used magnetic tapes to use precision measuring devices.
Yes.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally looks like a
awesome.
modern, because they would make the full scale clay model,
Yeah.
and then they would literally take this tape-driven machine, which was basically like a 6-axis fucking pointer thing.
Yeah.
They would measure the whole clay model on tape.
I love it.
Yeah,
In
it's
fact,
really
in
cool.
that day, it was
Amazing.
probably not even magnetic. It was probably paper punched
Oh,
tape.
yeah.
And it
No,
would
it was
store-
magnetic.
It was magnetic? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is when a 1 megahertz equivalent computer was the size of like a school.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was phenomenal.
And they digitized data points.
Yes.
And they could, I mean, it's
That's
absolutely
super cool that
incredible.
nobody had ever done that before with a car.
Because the first CAD CAM car was the E36, and that was
Yes.
1991.
Yeah, so the
So
fact
that's a
that they
pretty
were
significant.
that they were way ahead of the curve.
Correct.
Also, the Bezier curve.
The
in-
Brazier curve?
Bezier.
Brazier.
Oh.
Is it Bezier?
No.
It's Bezier.
Brazier is a.
Yes, I know what a Bezier is. The Bezier curve, or Bezier curve, rather.
I like
That
overall.
was invented incidentally by Renault as well.
Well, good for them.
If you don't know what that is, it's basically it's a late apex basically kind of curve. I'm not sure what you would
like
call
a
that.
reducing radius.
Yeah, reducing radius. What's a mathematical term for that?
Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, I don't
'cause
even
it's
care.
math.
But anyway, it's
Yeah.
They have calculators.
They invented
And
that.
Wolfram Alpha.
They invented that in computer modeling because prior to that, in computer modeling, everything had to be perfectly symmetrical. They figured out a way to make it not symmetrical,
Interesting.
so you could actually make stuff like
I think
the curve on a
asymmetry is
wheel well.
beautiful, or
Yeah.
can be.
Oh,
Yeah,
it can be.
Also, the very first WRC champion car,
Yeah.
Alpine A110.
That's a lovely car.
Yeah. First.
Shout out to somebody on our group plug. Was it Stephen
Yes.
Haig?
One second.
Stephen
Actually,
Haig.
I think it was Stephen Haig that noted the A110 is their favorite car.
Well, Stephen, if you're a listener,
Oh, here,
here's a
look.
shout out for you.
Let's see here. I got it up on my phone here. Yes, it was Stephen Haig. Yep, Alpine A110.
Cool.
He mentioned that as his favorite French car. But anyway.
I mean,
so
he's wrong, but it's still a nice car.
also the first turbocharged F1 car, the Renault RS01, is horribly unreliable as it was, but it was still the first turbocharged F1 car. Brake distribution traction control, 1980, they patented it. The Renault Espace, the first production minivan, 1984. First car with GPS and weather info is Carmanet in 1988, which is
What?
cool. Yeah, that they had GPS in 1988.
88 GPS systems were quite poor.
1992, Renault Twingo was the first city car. They also won the inaugural Formula E championship in 2015-2016 series. So, going on to the last one. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. The point of all of this is that everything was made by the French. Peugeot, first car with rubber tires, 1899. First motorsport race win ever to win a race was 1894.
They basically had to invent motorsport to win that
Yes,
race,
they did.
judging by the year.
First pneumatic racing tire, 1894, to win said race. First dual
Weird,
red
I wonder if
cam.
that's a coincidence.
Yeah, first dual red cam engine actually. That was a Peugeot, not a Bugatti. I'm sorry. That was in 1912. First non-American to win the Indy 500, 1913. Dry sump oiling systems,
Damn.
1913. Gear-driven camshafts, 1913.
For YouTube listeners, that is an A110 Alpine.
Yes. Ball bearing crankshaft, 1913. That is obsolete these days. But
Oh, they
it's-
still use it in 2 cycles.
in 2 cycles, they still use it. Yeah, but that was pretty big, a pretty big deal because
they're-
before that it was kind of sketch how you'd make it work.
Yeah,
They just
plain
basically
bearings they hadn't figured out at that point because they were like oil slingers and it was
Yeah,
pretty rough.
prior and I mean up until really the 1950s, that was a very common crankshaft system.
On
On smaller
early 30s.
Well, I'd say I'd go for a lot of imports into the 1950s because a lot of Japanese cars, actually everything made in Japan up until about 1955 was ball bearing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway, where am I?
Sorry,
Four wheel brakes being in a car, having
Wow.
brakes in the front and the rear.
Go-kartists and golf cartists still have not figured this one out.
Yeah, I know. But yeah,
Yes.
1913. Peugeot's numeral system, the 205, the 201, 605, 1001, that whole naming system was actually trademarked in 1929, and the world's first retractable hardtop convertible in 1934.
Wow.
They have done more. I ran out of time because the French just did fucking everything.
They did a lot of cool stuff.
I mean, Germany, they made the car, and
Germany did a lot of really important things, but nothing sexy.
I think, well, the thing
Like
is,
we did anti-lock brakes, we did the airbag.
the common proverb.
Great, you did 3-point seat. No, that was Swedish.
No, the common proverb of car collectors is the Germans made the
I
car,
don't
but
read the Bible
French.
very often.
Okay. Well, the common proverb of car collectors is the Germans made the car, but the French perfected it.
Okay, what did
So-
the Americans do to it? Just vomit in it?
Yes.
No, they didn't do anything. America has done fucking nothing.
So we
They
just
like to
we
copy.
vomited in it.
We made things mass produced, and that is it.
We make stuff better, but we don't do a good job
Not
of making
necessarily.
something. Oh,
We make
have you ever
more.
had non-American pizza?
Oh yeah, no, that's true.
I mean things like that.
We make things more.
Poutine?
We make things more tasteful.
We
I
made
think.
the V8
maybe not
better.
tasteful, but maybe more attainable. I guess.
We make them better,
I think it's a good way. It's more attainable at least.
I guess.
It depends on what you're talking about.
It does, but I'm trying to be as generalizing as possible.
All right,
That's
so
all right,
let's look
yeah,
at beer.
Yeah.
American Pilsner, Budweiser, garbage.
Not as good.
Czech Pilsner, Pilsner Urquell.
Also,
fantastic.
Can we give a props to 16-ounce tall boys because they seem to last us a podcast?
Yes, they do. They are fantastic. So yeah, the French basically made everything and has saved everybody's life. Jana, I will let you go on
yeah,
this.
I really want to talk about the national car of France, which is one of my favorite cars. Like I can't like really pick a favorite car. Like French
Allow me.
cars are, my favorite. But
We'll scroll over to the story.
the Citroën DS,
Citroën DS, yeah.
it's my favorite one to talk about with people who
It's a
don't
lovely car.
understand cars, because I
I
can just school them
Do you have
about
a picture of the
this.
DS?
But what you're seeing
I can pull
here,
up an additional
or
photo.
what I'm about to talk about, is the Citroën DS and how it saved the president of France from being assassinated. So in, the Citroën DS was the limousine for the president of France. He already really liked it. But on August 22nd, 1962, and actually kind of like a militia group tried to assassinate
Those gorillas.
the president of France and his wife, but luckily they were in a Citroën DS 19. I can't pronounce 19 in
19.
France. Yeah. And there was 140 bullets
That were shot into the car.
that were shot into the car, like bullet holes, everything. Like you can see.
Kennedy only took one.
Wow, what a
yeah.
pansy. If he
Right?
had been French, he would have totally survived.
Exactly. And
You know how we were talking about the French are better than the Americans? 140 to de Gaulle, he died of old age. 1 to Kennedy, he died from being shot.
but yeah,
I
and
think we're far enough into the future where this is probably okay to say no, but that's pretty insensitively horrible.
It is insensitively horrible.
But yeah, 140 bullets.
Screw you,
At
Lincoln.
least 2 tires were taken out, but through the
but somewhere between 2 and
2
500.
and 500. Like
Yeah.
we don't know how many tires were taken out,
so many
but
tires probably.
I'm going to assume,
lot
so it's 120 bullets on a DS?
140.
140 bullets on a DS. That's a pretty thin sheet metal car.
Dude.
I'm going to assume that
Air-cooled
all
engine.
4 are blown
yeah,
out
and
at
I've
this point.
heard stories where it's only 2. I've heard stories where it's all 4.
How would you ever know with the tremendous ride quality of that hydrodynamic
Exactly.
suspension?
And the hydropneumatic system, and the skills of this amazing chauffeur, saved
it's
the
worth
president.
noting that
He
the
was-
pressure accumulators for that suspension system are very thick steel.
Yeah.
And probably not penetratable by bullets from that
Yeah.
era.
Actually, another point to make on that, de Gaulle was shot multiple times and was bleeding out. So had he been driven at a normal speed that you would be
yeah.
able to drive a car with a flat tire, he would have died.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he nearly died. They almost killed him.
Yeah, they almost killed him, but, you know, the awesome car and, you know, the awesome chauffeur skills, because it did skid out, but the driver
It's probably
was...
driving on steel wheels. So
Yeah, but the driver
Oh.
was able to, and it said that he was able to balance the car and get the rubber on the road. So, you know, he made it safely to a hospital and, you know, it saved his life. And
Yeah.
that's how the Citroën
became the national
Deus-
car.
Yeah, of France.
Of France.
And I think presidents to this day still drive in Citroëns.
Yeah, Emmanuel Macron has one. And
Yeah.
I think actually, wasn't Pope John Paul
I
French?
think so.
Yeah, because I know that there's been at least 2 popes that have had Deuses.
My favorite Pope vehicle is the W463 G-Class with the
Yeah.
giant bubble on the back.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
that was also John Paul's.
John,
Actually,
John Balls.
no, my favorite my favorite Pope car is the current Pope's
You know,
Renault
actually,
4.
save it. We'll do an episode that includes Pope mobiles.
Yeah,
All right,
but
good.
but yeah, so I love telling, you know, the story of how Citroën saved, you know, the president
Yeah.
of France, and like also can we talk about how they had to hide their technology from the Nazis?
Yes, they did.
Because the Citroën Deux Chevaux was originally produced in like the 20s, and they had a
Pull
bunch.
the picture of the 2CV, please, for our
I'm
viewers.
I'm still
on
working on the
YouTube.
DS.
But a bunch. So they had
That's
a bunch
tough.
of prototypes for it, and they had everything worked out, but they hid them in attics, barns.
Yes, that's a DS.
Um,
Now the Dechevelle.
I'm working on the 2CV.
But yeah, they hid them like successfully in attics, barns.
Oh,
and,
like Anne Frank.
yeah, like Anna Frank. Yeah.
Anna Frank.
Oh, sorry.
Um,
Anna Frank.
Um,
I'm getting corrected now. This is good.
yeah.
That's a first.
But yeah, so they hid them all throughout France. The Nazis looked for them, couldn't find them. They're still finding them in attics.
Yeah, they're still finding
But
pre-war.
after, you know, Germany lost World War II,
God, the
they
2CV's a sexy beast.
yeah, they
I
brought
really
it
like
out,
that car a lot.
and you know
You
it
should get a Motorcult
lasted.
2CV.
I think we should.
Yes, but the Deux Chevaux went into production in the
Bring up a
mid to
picture of
late
that orange late model
40s,
Dolly.
and
Wow.
I think they stopped production in the 90s.
Yes, it did.
92.
Yeah, 1992.
So, it's an amazing car. It's way better than the Beetle. I don't know
Oh,
why
dude,
people
it
like
is
the Beetles.
The
Questionably better
Type
than the
1
Beetle.
Beetle
I mean-
sucks. That's just a fact of life. The
like,
Beetle
and
sucks.
plus they were built by Jews that were like, you know, being
But
malnourished.
not
and
that was not really
the Beatles.
The Beatles not really. The Beatles were made
forced labor. is
a
not
hand- a
good.
handful-
Look
Fuller.
how happy the 2CV is, though. It's like
Yeah.
a happy catfish.
Oh, yeah.
Also, that livery with the duck on it was actually a factory optional limited edition. Actually, another fun fact about Nazis in World War II.
Yeah, totally fun to talk about.
Oh, so much fun.
It's all right. He's Jewish. It's probably okay.
Yeah, no, I can say a lot of stuff that you guys can't. Louis Renault, who was a president of Renault when in 1940 when the French were capitulated by the Nazis, he was being forced to produce vehicles for the Wehrmacht, and
Oh, that's right. I love
yeah,
this.
so he refused to make tanks. He did not want to make tanks because Renault was famous for making tanks in World War One. They actually made the tank really arguably at one World War One. It was much more reliable than the Mark II or whatever it was that the English had. But he wouldn't make them for the Germans. So they said, well, either you can go to a concentration camp or you can make a vehicle. So he obviously made a vehicle, but he made trucks. Now, they never said you had to make it reliable.
Haha. Now the shoe's on the other foot, we say.
So he basically extended the oil dipsticks on the
La
trucks.
chaussure mettez sur l'autre pied.
They made they extended the dipsticks like about like a centimeter, so they were further into the oil sump.
So further in would mean that if it's reading full, it's actually not?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
exactly.
All right, I'll let you keep telling the story.
when you're at your low point, you now have no oil touching your roller bearings.
Well, thank goodness I typically overfill all vehicles.
So, also when he designed it, he
Yeah.
took a little tip from Volkswagen's book where he made it a little bit more prone to oil leaks.
Wow, did he use a bunch of O-rings made out of inferior material?
Probably.
Wow, cool.
So
Good
basically,
going, man. It's basically a Corvair.
he designed these trucks in that were eventually sent to the African campaign for
The Africa?
the Africa Corps, and because the
Began
factory
in
actually was
Africa.
completely bombed out.
Africa.
The factory was completely bombed out in 1942, so it would have only affected the Africa Corps. But all the trucks in Rommel's Africa Corps kept breaking down. They could not figure out what was going on. Like, they had a failure rate of, 2 out of 3 trucks will fail.
Nice.
So they had, spare trucks everywhere.
Did he also put, the oil specification as, light cooking oil will suffice?
I know, right?
Yes.
He basically made a modern Volkswagen for them to wage war
I
with.
give you the 2.0 TSI, German Army.
He made that. That's actually what I bet. That's probably what Germany is making. Is they're just taking all of Louis Renault's
Are
specifications.
Volkswagen engineers
French?
repressed French people?
They might be. They're probably from Westphalia or something.
I think we might be onto something here.
That was it. It
I
was
think the designer of the 2.0 TSI is a repressed Frenchman.
just a very disgruntled engineer. But no, actually, Louis Renault has been. He was.
We make no bold claims at all.
Exactly. His trucks were a massive failure point, and he was a hero of the French resistance. And actually, after World War II, when they were basically killing everybody that helped the Germans, that design saved his life. He lost his job at Renault and was basically put into hiding and from public service.
Yeah.
But doing that saved him from going to jail. Because everybody else just straight up went to jail.
Did the Nazis also steal a car that killed them?
Yes, they did also steal a car that killed them. Yeah. But that was not a French car. That was a Czechoslovakian Tatra.
Whoa, that was loud.
So sorry about that. When they what the Czechoslovakian resistance did is they just took Tatras, which use swing axles, and they just took a knife and they cut the leather limiting straps on them.
Are Tatras Czech?
Yeah, there.
Good beer.
Yes. But they would cut the limiting straps for the swing axles, so when you go around a corner...
Unsafe at any speed,
yeah.
Says Ralph Nader.
They would cut the limiting straps, and then when you go around a corner, the car would roll under itself and then roll and
This is
burst into
literally
flames.
talking about an early Corvair.
Yeah, it was a V8 rear engine,
air-cooled
aluminum V8. It was
overhead
actually,
cam.
I think we should have at least a half episode about Czechoslovakian
we
cars
can
at some
touch
point.
on the Tatra because
Yeah.
I love the Tatra.
We'll do that later, but not
Sorry,
not this
I had
time.
those stories confused,
Sure.
so I thought a
No,
bunch
that-
of...
We could also talk about who was the princess rider, Diana. We could talk about that car and how
Oh,
it
yes.
failed to do its job.
Well, that was German, not French.
W140.
If she had a De Chevaux
Or a DS.
or a
A
DS
Or an SM even.
or even a SM, anything with adjustable suspension, she
Yep.
would have been okay. We would still have Princess Diana, but alas, she had a Nazi mobile.
Yep.
And a base model for that matter, as the S320. It was the worst one you
Why-
could
That
get.
was not the base model in that country.
Oh, wasn't?
base
They had a
model here.
4-cylinder?
No, but they had a diesel.
Ugh.
They had like an S270.
So
So basically, if she
I
would
love
have
the
had a
W140.
French car,
she would have
she'd
been fine.
fine.
Yeah.
because,
Man,
the
I'm really torn
paparazzi-
here. I really like the W140.
Okay, so just
It's just not that good.
You can
It's a cool
have
car,
it-
but it's not that good.
you can have it as a daily driver, but
It's
when
fine.
You're,
It's the
you're
same reason I
followed
like the
by
C4.
paparazzi or potential assassins, get a Citroen.
So, Burger, it's fine. That's a bad car. I like the C4. That's a terrible vehicle. It's okay to like terrible vehicles.
It's good.
It killed Princess Diana.
Okay, you're fine. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not a good
Right,
car.
This is like
Anyway, Bugatti also hit a bunch of Royales in the Paris sewers as well.
that's amazing.
Actually, to date, there's still unaccounted for Bugattis. There's 4 unaccounted for Type 35s, I think.
so I think we
Fangio.
need a World War II
Well,
episode.
No, because they
No.
the thing
No,
is
this
they had
episode's already killing me.
no, they had there's like a bunch of unaccounted for Bugattis, and they've already found 3 of them in the Paris sewer system. Like literally, Emile Bugatti hid 3 Royales in the Paris sewer system, and one inside of his house.
Hopefully in a non-particularly heavy flow area.
Well, because the Paris sewer system was designed in like the 1600s, so you can
So
walk
was
around.
their trash reclamation.
Yeah, but you can walk around inside the sewer without, because it's really just a moat underground.
Anyway.
So yeah, they hid cars in the sewer. But yeah, so that's it. They've made everything cool. They're heroes
Let's touch
of
on
World War
World Cup
II.
of Cars.
Well, there's one last thing I want to talk about.
All right, fine.
I want to talk about how they keep making really cool hatchbacks.
Okay.
Because they do. I mean,
Please elaborate.
okay, let's talk about the Renault 5 Turbo, which is,
That's not still in production.
I know, but they have a history of it and they continue making them. The Renault 5 Turbo, the 205s, the 206s, they make all those.
No, they make the Megane, like R26R, and
Yeah, like everything they make is really cool. The
they've always had hot Clios.
I've always said that. Even the Twingo, like they can't help but make cool hatchbacks.
Even the Saxo.
Yeah, so they've made a ton of cool cars, and actually on the Motorcult Facebook page, we had a question of what's your favorite French car, and it's basically a list of every French hatchback. So had a lot of votes for the Clio V6, Kua in particular. Randy Stern insisted that we mention the Citroën CX or the Renault 21/Medallion. I would say the Renault 12 because that's the one from PUBG. That's a Dacia. Scott said the Peugeot 205 GTI. Also
1.6 or 1.9?
I don't care. 1.9 hopefully. Unspecified.
Unspecified. He is here.
Yeah. The Traction Avant.
Literally just means front wheel drive.
Yeah. Peugeot 405 T16 Pikes Peak. Ryan Rask said the Renault Car. 406 Coupe. Again, Scott. Scott just kind of said everything. The Twingo of all generations. And
I think
Stephen
he
Hage
spent more time in France than any of us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Stephen Hage also said the Peugeot 205 GTI or the Renault.
Good answer.
The
Those
Renault
cars,
Alpine A110.
I honestly consider it sometimes, but like I could get a 1.6 RHD in here shipped to Minnesota for like $6,500.
Yeah,
in good
I
shape.
really
Nice.
I want a 205 quite badly.
GTI even.
I'm just waiting for Brian from International Vehicle Importers to import one.
He was here earlier.
He was. I was talking to him earlier.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, shout out to him. Yeah, hi Brian. I'm just waiting for him to get one, and somebody like backs out a deal and just sits in their inventory for like a year, and I
That's
can
not going
buy
to
it
happen,
on the
dude.
cheap.
Other people beside us in this room like the 205 GTI.
Well, no, they've had a Honda Beat in their inventory since like the beginning of man.
Okay.
So I mean, they do have cars that'll sit around
People
from time
just
to
don't
time.
know to look there. I mean, when we interviewed him on the podcast, I looked through the website for the first time. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, they've got a lot of cool stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've been ever since I met him. I've been trying to get him to do more French cars, and he's like, people don't want them. I'm like, they will.
you know, you can just
If
get
you
him to
import them,
one.
they will come.
Yes.
You can just get
It's
him
like
to
Field of
import one.
Dreams.
I need.
But it's like
Fiat
French car of
first.
dreams.
So let's talk about the World Cup of cars.
Yes.
It's France.
We were actually watching the World Cup downstairs
Yeah.
earlier. France versus Australia.
Yep, it's France versus Australia.
Australia.
So Australia, I'm just to say it's going to be the Mad Max Ford Falcon GT XB generation.
Okay.
You think that'd be a good one?
Does
Or
it have the remotely activatable Roots supercharger somehow?
No.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I mean, it could because a
We'll just
remotely
say it does.
activatable Ritz supercharger is totally doable.
I mean, it's cool, but like, anyway, we won't touch on the issues with that
Yes.
right now.
Anyway, well, because Toyota did that.
Yeah, but they had like bypass valves and stuff, and this was like side road engineering, and there's no way to pull air through a Ritz blower without
That's a
spinning
good
it.
point. So, yeah, it's going to be the Mad Max XB Falcon GT stock, the normal one.
We have not watched Road Warrior on Laserdisc.
We need to do that.
You keep talking, I'm going to buy this.
And then for France, I'm not sure what we should have. Should we have the 205 GTI T16, which was the Peugeot
homologation car.
homologation Group B car, or the Renault 5
Renault
Turbo,
5 Turbo.
which is
Renault 5
also
Turbo.
an earlier Group B?
Dude, look at your
homologation car.
shirt. Duh.
So Renault 5 Turbo.
Mad
Yes.
Max was first, then Road Warrior was a sequel.
Yeah,
Sorry.
nobody wants to actually watch the original Mad Max.
Nobody does, but I'm just saying. You
It's
gotta
a,
watch them all.
it's not a good
terrible.
movie.
I love Mad Max. That's what I was talking about.
It's an awful movie.
said
No,
Road
you gotta get Road Warrior.
Well,
it's so much better.
He is the Road Warrior.
No, you got to get Road Warrior, not Mad
Ah.
Max. Mad Max sucks. Anyway, so
Very-
I'll get
Jana,
them both. Just you keep talking.
Jana,
We are a little bit over
which
time.
which
so.
car is better? The
Is it like the one that Mad Max actually drove, or is it just
We'll
No,
call
it's a
it a
stock
movie
one.
replica
a
car.
stock one?
Oh,
If it's the stock one,
I'm out.
I'm
You're out?
out.
So-
France wins. But
Is-
if it's the actual Mad Max car, then yeah.
I'm still in with the Renault.
Yeah, I'm in with the Renault.
Yeah.
The only
I
car.
can't go against a Renault.
What about all right? Let's
Like,
say
the Falcon's a really cool
What's-
car. it
what's
is,
a
but,
better-
like, Renault 5 Turbo? Are you
is
kidding me?
is there
No, you
an
gotta-
Australian car that can hold up to it?
No.
the Maloo?
The Maloo's pretty close.
The
I'd say the
Maloo is
Maloo
really cool.
or the Nissan Presage, which was Skyline made in Australia.
We'll go with the Maloo.
The Maloo. So the Maloo versus the Renault 5
Should
Turbo.
I pay 16 shipped for the first 2 Mad Maxes?
Yes.
Yes, and then just use the first one as a, I don't know, something you'll put in your dumpster.
We the Patreon isn't supposed to be doing Laserdisc Night stuff, but yeah, if you guys want to hop on Patreon for Motorcult, which is patreon.com/Motorcult,
There we
feel
go.
free to buy us a beer, which is just going to go into Laserdisc this week.
Yes, exactly. So the Renault 5 Turbo wins. We can
It does.
say-
Yes,
It
it wins all the
no
things.
contest.
No contest. It wins. All right. Jana, did you have any other fun facts you want to tell before we jump into interesting engineering and then close out this episode?
A lot of my fun fact was the DS.
The DS
Yes,
stuff?
I love the DS and yeah, and Citroen.
There's a lot of cool stuff. Did we talk
Yeah,
about the
just-
articulating headlights? I think we did.
Oh
No, we didn't. Oh my God.
So, so in the Citroen.
Well, let's talk about
DS,
articulating headlights
and
then.
I think also the Deux Chevaux.
The
Deux Chevaux.
Yeah, it.
They
They
No,
did.
no.
No, I think
was-
they did, but
no.
only in the production after when the DS started.
Okay.
The DS and the SM, I know for sure had it.
I think they added it to the 2CV though.
Also,
yes.
I will say that the best 007 car was the 2CV.
Okay. Anywho, they
Incorrect.
had headlights
Wrong.
that went with their
Ryan.
wheels, the
Yeah.
steering wheels.
So, do you
So
know
when
how
you-
it
Does
was
with a mechanical linkage.
Yeah, do you
Yes,
know how it
mechanical.
was operated?
It was linked to the steering wheel.
Well, it's actually a very interesting mechanical linkage.
It was,
Yes.
which was removed by the DOT when you
Because of
imported one.
Because America's stupid.
Also put stupid headlights in it.
it's disgusting in America.
I
I'm
know.
importing
They put
one.
sealed beams in them.
Yeah, they're
the
terrible.
enclosed headlights and the French ones with the rotating beam.
They were just like much worse.
Yeah, have you guys seen the original TV ad for?
For the DS, yes. Well, no. All right. So I do want to go into the mechanical
Yes,
linkage
I
a
know.
little bit because
I just get really
when they-
excited about it.
when they
And
when
then
you turn the
America
wheel,
ruined it.
it's a
current
cable
selling
system.
feature.
It's a cable system, and when you turn left, only the left headlight turns, and we turn
Yep.
right, only the right one turns.
Yep.
Yes.
And the way that works
so you
is
don't
it
blind.
yeah,
people.
basically. But the thing is, when you the way it actually operates is there's like a series of like slides on this little cable that only after a certain amount of tension will begin to actuate the cable that
Okay,
Yeah, it was
goes.
only
so if
like the
you're, like-
last
Yeah.
90 degrees of the steering
you're
wheel. or
just-
something.
You know, playing with the steering wheel, they won't.
it
but
won't.
if you're swerving a squirrel, it
They will, yes.
Okay.
I
So
don't
it's
know.
actually really
How does
interesting.
one swerve a squirrel?
It swerves around a squirrel. Sorry,
Yeah.
I missed
Oh,
a
okay.
syllable.
Anyway, Berger, tell us about hydrogas suspension systems and how they work. What did it do well? How did it do poorly? And why we won't see it again?
Well, we still kind of do see it, but okay. So how Citroen did this is they basically put a really, it was a mineral hydraulic oil into basically a steel sphere, and they had an airspace above that, so it maintained a certain volume, but the pressure could change because it used a sealed hydraulic ram that was corner linked from the rear left to the front right and the front left to the rear right. So the system allowed for extremely smooth ride, but it did not allow for that great of cornering. They were
Yeah.
trying to improve that with the diagonal link.
Yeah. And that's
But-
why a lot of Nazis flipped them.
Right. And how they were able to do the ride height change is they were able to alter the amount of volume inside of this hydraulic system with a second piston. So, in like the DS and the SM, you could, at least the later ones, you could put it into a mode where it would jack all the way up, and you
Oh,
could like,
yeah,
you
for
could
the
change the
change the
tire.
tires.
Right.
Yeah,
That didn't
Jay
include
Leno
a
showed
jack.
that.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, I mean, the system, it was designed. Let me back up a little bit. The reason why I don't think we'll really see it implemented anymore is because it's not safe,
Oh.
and, well, I mean, maneuverability wise,
Yeah.
it's just unstable. But the reason why it was so innovative at the time is because of how well it rode over rutted farm fields.
Yes.
Because in the original Citroen 2CV design criteria, it had to be able to carry 2 people and
basket of eggs.
a basket of eggs across a rutted farm field at 30 miles per hour.
And so many people have done that test, and
it
it's
works.
to
Even
this
on a
day.
beat up old de Chevaux.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen people put goats in them and chickens
Yeah.
in the back, and it's fine.
And they look very happy when they get to
And-
market.
Actually,
Not
actually,
slaughtered.
on I think it was Paul Hollywood's big intercontinental road trip where he did the French episode.
Yeah.
I think he was the only person to get to fail, and the way he did it is he had to drive the car at 10/10ths, and still like bang his head into the basket of eggs over his head.
It wasn't over his head though. It
No.
was designed to be in the back.
That's the thing is like he had to totally. But
Oh
the
my
thing
word.
Oh yeah, he was trying to find
he
a
was
way.
trying to find a way to make it happen, and he nearly rolled the car in the
He
process.
nearly
like-
rode the car, but the eggs still I mean, maybe one or two cracked, but the rest of them were
Right.
fine, and they were purposely trying to crack these eggs. And
Either
they
way, the
couldn't.
ride quality, all three of us rode in
Oh, yeah.
Michael's 2CV in St. Paul, and
Yeah.
the ride is
Oh
sublime.
God, I didn't want to get into the electric Fiat after that because I was like, this is, you
yeah,
know,
no, that really.
but it's not.
like
driving
playing
a
daily.
driving in
I
a
know, I love
proper
it too, but
a proper Citroen pre-bankruptcy Citroen is one of the greatest experiences you'll have in your life.
oh yeah, it was.
It
so
is
fun.
so unique. Yeah,
I don't
even-
think I would
you
want
need to drive a French car.
I don't think I want to drive one every day, but it's nice to ride in one every once in a while, especially up the hill on Summit.
I would want to
Summit
drive
Hill
one every day.
with
Oh
4
my
people in it,
God.
no problem.
And it was fun. And like
Mm-hmm.
3 of the 4 people were like
With 16 horsepower.
Yeah.
pretty, you
We're-
know,
we're-
substantial people.
But according
You were
to
the
my,
only person in that car that was under 200 pounds.
according to my digital scale, I am obese. So
I'm,
Uh,
I don't know how many metric tuckers. Probably
I think
2.
about 1.5,
Yeah.
maybe 1 3/4. Like it was.
because I'm like negative metric.
That's true.
tuckers.
Michael's pretty small.
Jana's like what, 94, 95 pounds,
93.
93 pounds.
Close.
I'm 220, but between 220 and 230, depending on
I'm
how much I have to
180.
poo. Yeah,
180 to 190. Actually, depending how much I ate.
Michael's about 200 probably.
But
so
I'm
yeah,
also
like that's
5'1", and
Yeah.
you guys are almost 6 feet tall.
But we
or-
were all so comfortable. In
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my god, it was great.
I couldn't even tell you 2 were in the back. I felt like it was just me and
That's
Michael.
what she said.
But no, it was for 16 horsepower. It was phenomenal.
And
See what I
also,
did
this
there?
was at an Italian car show that we found
was.
this French car that I
It was just
ran.
loitering around the park.
Yeah, and I ran across this Italian car show in heels
Yeah,
to get to this car.
Jana like full on like sprinted
It was
through the
great.
Pasoluna meet. Like
was
by
impressive.
Secret Italian car show meet.
yeah,
Which doesn't. It's in Nebraska
Yes.
yeah.
in October.
But no, you
They just happen to have Summit Hill there too.
so they
Yeah,
had
they have a Summit Hill there.
It was a very long drive. The car has fantastic fuel economy.
Yes.
Yes. The Ferrari did well.
No,
So did the
so
electric
you,
Fiat.
you I was thinking about the cars you ran past without
Oh, yeah.
looking up.
Ones that several children had boners over.
Lamborghinis,
Uh,
60s Ferraris,
Ferrari
Ford
27
GTO.
All right, so here are the particular cars. At least one Ferrari 275 GTO,
Yes.
which is like the 3rd most expensive car in the world. A Lamborghini Diablo. Oh my God, this is going so long. A Lamborghini Diablo, a Maserati biturbo, a Testarossa, like everything.
My
the Magnum PI car,
355,
your
Yeah.
a
355.
really broken down by turbo.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So anyway, you ran past every cool Italian car to get to a de Chevaux, and I think
Yes.
that is a perfect testament to why French cars are awesome.
There were several people putting me on their Snapchat stories. Like,
If you
what the
ever
fuck?
if you
I believe
ever
that.
want
For
to
sure.
buy a car that will attract women,
By a French car.
buy a French car.
Yes.
I think that should be our bombshell.
I think that's a very fair bombshell.
That is our bombshell. Thank you, and see you on Wednesday.
Thanks everyone for joining us on the French episode. Bye.